A boy named Day wakes up lying inside a completely empty swimming pool, covered in wounds and clearly disoriented. When he checks his hand, he sees it's badly injured, but the worst comes next. When he looks down, he realizes a crocodile is biting his leg. He panics. He screams, struggles, and manages to kick the animal off him. As best as he can, he crawls away and, in a desperate attempt, grabs a bucket and starts hitting the crocodile on the head. Outside, a chained dog barks non-stop while watching everything. Eventually, the animal backs off, leaving Day alone, trapped in a deep pool with no way out. Then, the story jumps back 6 days. The same pool is now filled with water. Day is working on a photo shoot inside the place. Everything is chaotic but controlled. They even throw a couch into the water where a model poses. In the middle of it all, Koi, Day's girlfriend, arrives, accompanied by her dog Lucky, who is supposed to be part of the set. Day, who is diabetic, steps aside for a moment to inject insulin, and Koi follows him. Jokingly, she mentions that she might be pregnant, which makes Day noticeably uneasy. Even so, they continue with the shoot, which turns out well. The team celebrates with a group photo and leaves. The next day, Day returns to the pool with Lucky. His task is to clean everything up and lock the place, since it will be empty for quite some time. Before starting, he decides to relax for a bit by floating in the water. At that moment, Mayom, his friend and supervisor, shows up, ready to leave for a 3-month trip. Before going, he pulls a lever to drain the pool and leaves Lucky tied up nearby. Day asks him to order a pizza, and Mayom agrees, but warns him to get out of the water soon. The problem is that Day falls asleep on the float without noticing that the water level is going down. Sometime later, Lucky wakes him up by barking. Day realizes what's happening and tries to swim to the edge, but it's already too late. The water level is so low that he can't reach the exit. He tries to climb out several times, even breaking a nail in the process, but fails. He uses the float for support, and that doesn't work either. Desperate, he starts screaming for help, but the camera pulls away, making it clear that there's no one around. His phone is sitting on the edge of the pool. Suddenly, it starts vibrating and slowly moving toward the drop. Day fills with hope, waiting to catch it when it falls, but at that exact moment, Lucky slips and falls into the pool, left hanging by his leash. Day rushes to help him. He swims across and manages to save the dog using the float. But meanwhile, the phone falls and ends up hanging from the charger. Day quickly tries to reach it, but the water level has already dropped too much. The phone finally falls into the water and stops working. With few options left, Day tries to stop the drainage by plugging the vent with his robe. But when he gets into the water, his belt gets stuck. At that moment, the pizza delivery guy arrives. He looks around, sees no one, and calls to ask what to do. They tell him to just leave the pizza and go, and that's exactly what he does. Day, trapped, doesn't even realize. He still believes someone will come to help him soon. So, unbelievably, he falls asleep on the float again. Later, Koi arrives at the place without noticing the low water level. She climbs onto a platform, ready to jump, but just as Day wakes up and shouts at her to stop, she gets startled, slips, hits her head, and falls into the pool. Day pulls her out as best as he can. She's unconscious. He places her on the float and tries to stop the bleeding with his robe. Night falls, the water keeps dropping, and no one has come to help them. When Day checks Koi's wound, he freezes upon seeing a piece of her flesh in his own hand. Just when everything seems calm, Lucky starts barking desperately. Suddenly, a crocodile crawls out from the maintenance room and heads straight toward the dog. Day, seeing it, panics and tells Lucky to stay quiet, but it's already too late. Before reaching him, the animal slips and falls into the pool. Now the situation is much worse. Day is trapped, with his unconscious girlfriend, and a crocodile in there with him. The night passes, and by morning the pool is completely dry. Koi still hasn't woken up, and the crocodile lies on the other side, sleeping with its mouth open. At that moment, Day finds a positive pregnancy test in Koi's pocket, and understands everything. Shocked, he talks to her even though she's unconscious, promising that everything will be okay. Then he checks her wound, and it's still bleeding. Looking for a solution, he slowly approaches the sleeping crocodile, because he sees something inside its mouth, a roll of duct tape that Mayom had thrown to him before leaving. Very carefully, he manages to pull it out, but in the process he wakes the creature. The crocodile growls, and Day runs away just in time. Using the tape and a piece of his robe, he improvises a bandage to stop Koi's bleeding. He had also saved a bit of water in a bucket, so they at least have something to drink. Desperate to escape, Day decides to open the pool's vent to try getting out through a tunnel. He manages to uncover it, but when he returns to Koi, the crocodile has already gone inside. Day waits for a long time, but when it doesn't come back, he decides to take the risk and go in himself. He crawls through the tunnel and finds an exit, but it's locked from the outside. At that moment, the crocodile returns to the pool and heads straight toward Koi. Day doesn't hesitate. He runs back and grabs it by the tail to distract it. Surprisingly, the animal doesn't attack him right away. Shortly after, Koi finally wakes up. The first thing she does is call out to Day, and she tells him she's pregnant. He stays by her side as night falls. Koi rests on the couch they had used during the photo shoot. Outside, Lucky manages to survive and even finds the pizza they ordered. The dog pushes the box toward the pool. And finally, after 3 days, Day and Koi are able to eat something. But the situation keeps getting worse. By the 4th day, they no longer have drinking water. Day faints and remains unconscious for the entire day. He wakes up at night and sees Koi watching him. He asks about the crocodile, and she tells him something incredible. It's a female, and during the day, it laid eggs. Then it starts to rain, giving them some relief. They take advantage of it to collect water. The next morning, the crocodile tries to approach Day while he's sleeping, but falls into the vent. Day seizes the moment and pushes it further inside, sealing the entrance. With a bit of time gained, they try to survive however they can. They make a fire with dry grass and use containers to boil the crocodile's eggs, which they end up eating. That night, they try to escape by stacking the couch, but they still can't reach the edge. With few options left, they start talking. That's when Day admits that he didn't want the baby and thought the best option was to abort. Koi, devastated, slaps him. Both of them know they won't survive another day under the sun. The next day, they reopen the vent, and the crocodile returns to the pool. Koi quickly crawls into the tunnel while the animal is distracted with its eggs. But when it notices one is missing, the crocodile attacks Day. He manages to escape into the tunnel and closes it just in time. Meanwhile, Day is getting worse. He's been without insulin for days, and his body is starting to give out. Through the vent, they spot a syringe that Mayhem had left on a nearby table. Day tries to reach it with a wire, but fails, and the syringe falls and breaks. With no way out, they both break down and start crying. But then Day realizes something. His insulin kit is lying on the floor inside the duct. It turns out Mayhem dropped it without noticing. Quickly, he injects himself and manages to stabilize a little. Later, something unexpected appears in the sky. A parachute flies over the pool. Seeing a possible chance, Day asks Koi to block the tunnel entrance with a barrel while he goes out to try to get help. When Day returns to the pool, he's screaming in desperation. The parachute he saw wasn't help. It was just a toy. Even so, he doesn't stop calling for help, hoping someone will hear him. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind knocks a wire hanger down into the pool. Day sees an opportunity and tries to use it to climb out. At first, it works. The wire holds his weight, but it tears up his hands as he climbs. Still, he doesn't stop, until, just as he's about to make it out, the wire gives way and he falls backward, hitting the ground hard. He loses consciousness. When he wakes up, it's already the 6th day. Everything repeats like at the beginning. He checks his injured hand, and the crocodile attacks him again, dragging him by the leg. He manages to break free and crawls toward the couch, but the pain forces him to stop before he can get back to Koi. That night, it starts raining, and since the tunnel is blocked, the area where Koi is begins to fill with water. Desperate, she bangs on the barrel to call for Day. He hears her and crawls back through the tunnel, but this time he decides to go in a different direction. He finds another vent and manages to open it. For a moment, he thinks he's saved. He climbs out, excited, but the relief doesn't last. He has actually come out into another pool just as deep, with no way out. It's the 7th day. At that moment, 2 people arrive looking for their parachute toy. They climb down a ladder, pick it up, and leave without noticing anything. The crocodile is hiding under the couch, and Day and Koi are out of their sight. Day hears their voices and screams with all his strength, but by the time he reaches the top, it's too late. They're gone. The only thing left is the ladder. It starts raining again. Day, injured and limping, tries to reach it, but before he can, The crocodile attacks him once more. Meanwhile, the place where Koi is has almost completely flooded. The crocodile is about to finish Day off when suddenly, Koi emerges from the water and starts whistling. Seeing her alive gives Day one last burst of energy, and he manages to escape the attack. He tries to reach the ladder again, but the barrel Koi had been tied to shifts and ends up dragging the ladder away. His last hope disappears right before his eyes. At that moment, Koi's whistling attracts Lucky, since he had been trained to respond to that sound. Day tries to stop him, yelling for him not to jump, but the dog doesn't understand. Still chained, he tries to leap into the pool and ends up hanging by his neck. Day can do nothing. He can only watch, helplessly, as Lucky slowly dies. That breaks him completely. Filled with rage, Day finally faces the crocodile and manages to kill it, repeatedly stabbing it with a stick. He's devastated, but he knows it's not over yet. Koi is still in danger. Gathering the last of his strength, he does something extreme. He uses Lucky's lifeless body and the chain to climb out of the pool. After 7 days of struggle, he finally makes it out. Without wasting a second, he runs to the vent where Koi is. The place is completely flooded. He finds a pipe and tries to open the grate, but nearly falls again in the process. Still, he manages to hold on and with sheer effort, pulls himself up. Then he dives into the water without hesitation. He manages to pull Koi out, but she's unconscious. For a moment, it seems like she's no longer breathing. Day panics and starts performing CPR, until finally, Koi comes back to life.